We worry about it less and less. We don't look for items in the original and say, how can we update it? Especially not now, because we've almost forgotten. Actually, everyone in Britain seems to have almost forgotten that it is updated. We just think we're doing Sherlock Holmes. And it matters now, and increasingly it will have to be the case that we pursue our own line with it, you know, that it becomes its own thing. It sort of has already. Mark and I are so in love with the original, it'll never stray very far from it. But, you know, it has to be its own thing, and the audience have to think they're never safe with us, because we might do something completely different from the original.
When did you get to see your wife? Yeah, exactly.
At work, Jen. That's handy. I don't know how it fits. We had a scheduling meeting last night, which was the most depressing thing I've ever seen. We never had a scheduling meeting for the first 2 years of Sherlock and Doctor Who, which was a much better idea. Because if we tried to schedule it retroactively, you would see it doesn't fit. Can't fit. At some point, you're going to have to write a script really fast. In fact, Scandal in Belgravia was the one that I wrote really fast.
So there's a Doctor Who producer there. I'm there, Stephen looking scared in the background. I want him there, I want him there.
In a turf war, you never want to be the turf. I'll tell you that. I sat and drank a whole bottle of wine. It was because you can't plan these things. There's no way it works. It doesn't. But, except it does. Somehow you get there. I can think of. I don't think anyone's ever stopped us doing anything. We're fairly well acquainted with what the limits are on television, and I've never found the limits, if this doesn't sound odd, limiting. I'm automatically television hardwired, but I think we're ambitious with the shows. I don't think there's anything that we felt we couldn't do. These shows are exactly what we wanted them to be. The limits of television suit Sherlock, but the limits of television are pretty bloody wide. I mean, I think it works better. I mean, we don't have to have a boring action fight every 5 minutes. That's freedom, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, history in the right order.
Yes,
Sherlock Holmes is first. No, I'm not. I've been asked several times today about my comics knowledge because people assume I must be geeky about everything. Actually, it's the one geekiness I don't have. I don't really know my comics. I mean, I think from what I've seen of them, I think they're good, but I wouldn't think of Sherlock Holmes in terms of Batman at all, because I don't know Batman well enough. I like the movies vaguely. I've seen some of them, yeah. I thought the newer ones were really good. Some of the older ones are really terrible. But I don't think there's an awful lot of resemblance there, to be honest. But I mean, I think there's archetypes that both are drawing on, if you see what I mean. Yeah. It couldn't have been him imagining it, could it? Because what he's been told is that she's in witness protection. He has to have known. It is a very, very complicated train of thought for you to believe that Sherlock was imagining that. No, he really goes and saves her. How could you doubt that? A friend of mine reviewed it on his blog, and he got exactly what we wanted from it. He said was, the glory of seeing him standing there is you remember you're watching Sherlock Holmes. And of course he's going to save her.
You're a trickster, of course you
thought. We made and wrote Belgravia last of the three, and I think Reichenbach was the first one in. Yeah. So you do it in reverse order, not very hard. Yeah. Planting clues isn't very hard, no, okay. Because you know what you're doing. A magic trick isn't difficult if you know how to do it. If you see what I mean. Okay. But it's certainly helped the attention on the show. Yes.
So the clue's definitely in there for the end of this series.
That may or may not be in there. You might be looking at complete phantoms.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you'd have to be surprised by this level of success of anything, because you couldn't anticipate this. And actually, I think, certainly Mark and I thought it would be a snobhead. You know, we thought it was good. You know, I think we all thought it was a very, very good show. But we thought it would be the kind of show that would get 4 million and lots of great reviews and maybe an award somewhere. We didn't expect
it was put out in the summer, so we're not entirely sure how everyone...
Yeah. So the other thing about it that's weird about it is its time slot was brought radically forward. So we hadn't finished the post-production on the shows and said, oh, we want to put it out in 3 weeks or something. And you were saying they literally won't be ready. So we had no big moment of fear about it because we didn't have time. And that means, of course, because it was, this isn't an idle boast, it's just simply true, an instant hit. Everyone was talking about it the next day. All the reviews were extraordinary because it was that quick. I suppose because it happened so quickly, all we ever get now, and one day it'll stop, but all we ever get now is good news about Sherlock. It's extraordinary. I mean, we are aware that we're at the centre of something we'll probably never be at the centre of again. Well, Moriarty's a one-shot deal in the original. I don't want it to turn into a show that's about one villain and one hero. And one of the temptations, particularly with success, is to keep repeating your hits. And that means you hear it again and again and again. We need to find new villains. We need to find new ideas. Otherwise, the show doesn't keep growing. Moriarty was great because he was a surprise. Every time you bring him back, he won't be as big a surprise. To compare it to my other show, I always say new monsters are better in Doctor Who because you fall in love with a monster when he's new. Same with Moriarty. There are other great villains in Doyle that we want to visit. We have to keep the show growing. Otherwise, it won't surprise you. Once you get the measure of it, you'll just get critical. But if we keep surprising and keeping you off balance, then you will.